It was before.
Actually, even I should raise my hand. Alright, so before we get to that, let's see what are the situations where we feel we have to do impromptu speaking. Where have you felt the need that okay, I need to come up with something other than the table topic session in our personal life or professional life? Where have we felt the need to do some impromptu speaking?
During team huddles, discussions. During team huddles or discussions, team meetings.
During team meetings, okay, what kind of topics would that be like?
So if there is any project presentation or if there is any discussion to deal with the problem, then we have to think of ideas and speak it instantly.
Okay.
There is no time constraint if there is something like that.
Any other?
Yeah, any argument with your girlfriend or boyfriend?
Argument with your girlfriend or boyfriend? Okay. I mean, how about introducing somebody? You meet somebody, you're in a group, and then you have to introduce somebody. You will have to talk a little bit about him and introduce him, right? That is one occasion I can think of. And there are many cases, especially in a professional environment, where you're all in a meeting, somebody doesn't turn up and they say, okay, can you substitute for him? Yeah. It has happened. Yes. Many times it happens.
Your boss tells you to step in.
All of a sudden, your kid comes and asks you a question where you need to give a story or something to really answer it. It cannot be a yes or no kind of a situation. So, like this, there are many situations that we face in our personal and professional life where we have to do some impromptu kind of speaking. Right? So, but here the Toastmasters is an amazing platform where we give you opportunities to speak impromptu topics, so that way you can build your skills and you can become good at impromptu speaking. Now, many of you raised your hand saying that you consider this is one of the most difficult sessions. Please. Please. No, it's okay. It's okay. So let us talk of some of the reasons why we have a difficulty in handling these table topic sessions. What are some of the reasons? I won't ask you what are your concerns when somebody gives you a topic and you have to come and speak for 2 minutes?
So first of all is the public speaking that is there, and also it's difficult to gather all those at once and
It's difficult to gather all the thoughts. Okay. Any other?
Don't know what to tell and we forget sometimes.
Forget.
So I may not be knowing the subject.
You might not be knowing the subject. Okay. Nervousness is for any kind of speaking, right? We are talking of the fear of impromptu speaking. This is an education session on how to handle table topics. So relating to that, what are your fears?
Suddenly you feel as if you have no idea about the topic.
You have no idea about the topic.
If you think about that, after some time you get some ideas, but at that moment you are blank.
We need to think quickly so that we have a very short period. This is an impromptu.
Correct.
Fear of being judged.
Fear of being judged. Okay, so we will address a lot of these concerns, but basically this is one of the psychology experiments that was done was along the lines of the fear of the unknown. Suppose people were told, okay, you need to come back alone from MG Road to say RT9. Let's take the example. Okay, and there are two options for you. One is you have to come during the day, but there could be a lot of problems you might face. Today there is some burn, some people might throw stones at you, whatever, there are some dangers. Maybe there's mugging incidents, whatever. So you have to come alone from MG Road to RT9. So that is one. Otherwise, the second option for you is you have to come in the middle of the night, and I'll guarantee you it will be safe. Now the question is, what would you pick?
Morning, first one.
Morning? Why?
I call my friend and he put my camera.
Still, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, there are dangers. There are possible dangers is what I have told you.
We'll face the danger.
You are willing to face the danger. Anybody else?
What's more risky? The A is more risky or that is more risky, and then you drag it and take easier one.
That's the question I'm asking you. What would you pick?
So we will pick
I'll
morning.
pick night.
You pick the night?
Because you guarantee it's safe.
We'll pick morning because I would have traveled many times earlier from Bangalore to here, so I know how to come and how to
Okay.
take to Swiss.
Anybody else? Any ladies?
I would say in the day because everything very clear.
Uh-huh.
So every day will be easy.
Okay.
At dark, not seeing many things.
What would you do, man?
Day.
So I'm telling you, you will be safe if you come in the night.
And then you go by night.
According to my experiences, even if you tell, my experiences say that I would be more safe in the day.
So this is a common human philosophy wherein we prefer to rather fight with the known rather than be safe with the unknown. I'm telling you, you will be safe. Your only idea is safety, but you still want to go during the day, and because it is the known thing. I can see everything. I know what's going to happen. I'll prepare myself. I'll carry a knife. I'll carry a gun. Whatever. But the bottom line is I want to be safe. But you are willing to face any problems with the known rather than go with the unknown. I think this also explains some of our religious beliefs also, right? Do this, otherwise God will do something to me. I don't know who is God, where He is, what He will do to me, but it is the unknown. The fear of God makes people do a lot of things, right or wrong, it doesn't matter, but it is an unknown, right? And we are always afraid of that. That's exactly what Toastmasters table topic session is all about. You don't know what you have to speak, you're afraid, you have so many thoughts in mind, you think that you will come here and do something where you feel you might make a fool of yourself. How can I talk about a topic which, for 2 minutes, which is a long time, about a topic which you would have given me just 2 seconds back? So that's the reason why everybody wants to avoid table topics. Now, let us break one particular myth. In Toastmasters at least, impromptu speaking is a session where you are given a topic and you walk up and then you talk about the topic for 2 minutes. It's not that you will not be aware of the topic, correct? But this is the myth. Everybody thinks that we are not prepared to handle that particular session. This is totally wrong. If you are a Toastmaster, you prepare yourself for handling any table topic session. There are ways to do it. You can read, you can practice at home. Have you ever practiced at home? Without knowing what the table topic is, hey, if I get this table topic, let me say these things. If I get this table topic, let me say these things. Do you prepare? You don't. So it is mostly because of your lack of preparation which makes you feel that I'm not prepared, so I might do something, you will have a lot of problems. So we'll talk of, that is one aspect. The second aspect is, of course, how to prepare, how to handle the table topic session. So one of the things that you need to be aware of is in all Toastmasters meetings we tell the table topic master, first tell the topic and then call the person. The reason is very simple, that when the person walks up from there and comes to the stage, he has got some time, a few seconds to deliberate on the topic. What exactly does this topic mean? What can I say? Right? So that's precisely the reason why we give that advice to all table topic masters. So you've got a few seconds to come here. Then how else can you buy time? You can come on stage and you can repeat the topic. Repeating the topic will give you 1 or 2 seconds more. While you're repeating the topic again, you can think of something. The next thing that you can do is, you can just gauge the audience. Move your eyes from one end to the other, you will get a few more seconds. You will collect your thoughts, and only with the first verb verbal action or verbal or visual action, the timing starts. So literally you've got maybe 7 to 8 seconds for you to prepare for the particular topic. And that's enough if you have done some preparation earlier. Now, so that is one aspect where I say that you really have got some time. But let's see how to use that time. There are many strategies that we can think of for handling a particular table topic. If we know those techniques, it is like giving you a map and a compass and say, okay, figure your way out. You will be able to figure your way out. If I give you the Google map, you can travel from anywhere to anywhere, right? So we will talk of some of the techniques which will help you give this map. Make sense?
Yeah.
Is that also the expectation of this session?
Yes.
So basically the idea is at the end of this session, you should feel that, okay, I think I can try. I can go give it a shot. I can try some of the ideas that we have talked about here. I'm not afraid of facing this table topics anymore. Again, the myth here is, it is really not impromptu. It calls for some preparation from your side. There are techniques to handle it, and it will become easy as time progresses. The most important thing to remember here is, even though it's impromptu, we have to follow a structure. And the same principles of the structure that we follow for a speech apply here as well. You have to have a nice introduction, you have to have a nice body, you have to have a nice conclusion. So same principles apply for the table topics as well. So without much further ado, let's get into some of the techniques. The first technique I call is the 5 wives and 1 husband theory. Okay? Completely opposite of the Mandala's thing, right? What is this 5 wives and 1 husband theory? Given a topic, you can ask these 6 questions. What does the topic mean? What, when, who, where, why, and then how. So as you are walking towards the stage to handle a particular topic, if you start thinking along this question, what the hell is this topic about? Why is this significant? Or who is it referring to? Or how does it really make any sense? When you ask these questions, you will get some ideas, and when you come here, it becomes very easy to talk about it for at least 2 minutes. Can we just try this out? Can anybody just give a table topic? Huh? No, not the table topic, master. I don't want to. He has prepared something, but anything else, whatever comes to your mind.
Hats.
Excuse me?
Hat.
Hats. Hats.
Yeah.
Hats. So can we apply this technique? What is a hat? Whenever I say
something which we put on our
right.
head.
Then,
from the sun.
how? It's like now there are different kinds of hats available. Now cowboy hat, this right? Sports hat. How many ideas come to your mind about the types of hat? When is it used? I use it even to protect myself from rain, even as well as from the sun. And this is something that a lot of the, by default, all sports people wear. It's something cool, right?
Movie stars.
Huh?
Movie stars.
Movie stars. And it's a fashion statement. I wear it backside. All the college kids wear that backside. So how you wear it? See, right there we have generated at least some 7 or 8 ideas to talk about a hat. Of course, we can also use it to in a local language and say Topi Penai. How many things we can think of a story where you got cheated or where you lost some money, any incident like that. So isn't this good enough to speak for about 2 minutes? I think so. In fact, I have you can talk of many things, like I have a friend who has a collection of 50 hats from 50 different countries. That's his hobby. See how many ideas we can keep generating when you think of the 5 wives and 1 husband theory of a particular topic. Right? Okay. Now, yeah.
I always have a doubt. See, now this is like a thing, like it's a hat, an object. But when you're given a phrase, like
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever, if it's a phrase, if it's a word, it doesn't matter. But the same technique, again, not all the techniques techniques will work on all the table topics, but this is one of the techniques for sure. Okay. Now the second technique that we can think of is, what are the two things that come to your mind? One example could be why and why not. Let's just take it, why and why not. Let somebody give, anybody else give a topic.
Pennywise found foolish.
Huh?
Pennywise found foolish.
Pennywise pound foolish. Why should we be pennywise and pound foolish? Because there are people who cannot see the big picture. They are only concerned about short-term gains. So you can have a lot of stories about that. Like for example, you can talk about Ravi Shastri. He was only busy collecting singles. He never went after fours and sixes. Okay, but now we can talk why and why not. You say why not means because people started hating him. People threw chappals at him. People threw all kinds of things at him because he was not a fast scorer. But this is the same guy who scored 6 sixes in 6 balls. So if you ask him, he will say that is the way I'm building up. I might look like I'm pennywise and pound foolish, but in the long run I will score a 50 and or a 100, which is helpful for the team. So you can ask why and why not and give both the perspective. It's like collecting points instead of big notes. You can say you are being very pennywise and pound foolish by saving small amount of money, but in the long term it might make a huge difference. So you can get two perspectives. You can play around with it. There's no pennywise pound foolish doesn't always mean that the person who is doing something small is always wrong. So why not? When you ask these kind of questions, you get a lot of material to speak for about easily for 2 minutes. The next thing would be along the same line. What two thoughts come to mind is, depending on the topic that you get, you can think like advantages and disadvantages. Suppose I say honesty is the best policy. I say the advantage is you don't have to remember what lies you told. So I always believe in speaking the truth. I never waver from the truth, especially in an office environment. Whenever anything happens, I always make sure I tell the truth. If there's a problem why I have failed, I will tell my boss this is the reason why I failed. If I tell a lie, then I'll have to make sure that I remember that. So there's a huge problem in telling lies. So I believe that the advantage is that speaking honest keeps your character good. You make a good living, whatever. You make a good name for yourself. Now, what is the disadvantage? One day I went to the shop with my 4-year-old daughter. She asked for some chocolates. I didn't want her to have the chocolates because we already had some chocolates in the day. I said I don't have money with me, but actually I had my money in my pocket. Now I lied. Okay, but does it spoil my character? No. It is not that I never ever speak the lie, but depending on the situation, honesty is the best policy, not always. In such situations, I will tell lie. I am coming back from work in the middle and I get a call from my friend. We go out to a bar, we are having fun. My wife calls, hey, when will you be back home? I'll be there in 5 minutes. Right? So I'm not being so honest, but it works. So I'll say honesty may not be the best policy all the time. So what I'm trying to say is you can play around with the topic any which way you want. Even in any topic, advantages and disadvantages. Another 2 things that come to mind would be, what does a man think about it, what does a woman think about it? What does your father think about it, what do you think about it? What do we in India think about it versus what do some people in another country think about it? Like when it comes to housemates. In India, it's like a lot of people have housemates, but do we consider it as slavery? No. You ask any American, he will say that is slavery. It doesn't matter what you think, but there's another perspective. For the same thing, it's another perspective. So there are, when 2 things come to mind, these are some of the ways to think, depending on the topic. It depends on the topic, either advantages, disadvantages, men versus women's viewpoint, this country's viewpoint, that country's viewpoint, positives and negatives, all kinds of things, why and why not. So think along those lines, and you can argue it from in one way and also argue it from the other way, and then make a stance. Does it make sense? Do we find it easy to talk about something, at least depending on the topic? Always ask, actually the simplest thing is why and why not are advantages and disadvantages. If you just think about it along those lines, a lot of ideas come to your mind. The next technique to think about is what are the three things that come to your mind. There are many cases where you can get three different views. Like for example, suppose I say Bangalore is the best city in India. When somebody gives you the topic, you can think along the lines. So during my father and grandfather days, this was a retirement paradise. There was no traffic. People from all over India came here after retirement. The weather is so good. Blah blah blah. You can talk about it from that generation's viewpoint, and you can talk about this generation. Our generation, it is the Silicon Valley. People have become so rich. A lot of IT industry has come up. Blah blah blah. And what is going to happen in the future? This is going to be a mess. People are going to leave Bangalore, or whatever are your thoughts. You can talk about how Bangalore is going to be for your kids. Maybe. Now my kids enjoy a lot of sports facilities. We play table tennis on dining tables. My kid plays the table tennis on real table tennis tables in a proper club under a coach. These things were unheard of during my time. But this is my perspective. So when you can talk of three things like previous generation, this generation, and next generation, you can easily talk about it for 2 minutes. Here the idea is very simple. If I break it into three things, I know that I can speak on each one for about 45 seconds. If it is two things, 1 minute each. So actually I have broken down the 2 minutes into smaller segments, which will help me talk about it. The same thing, three things, again we can extrapolate it, right? There are so many things. In summer, how is it in Bangalore? In winter, how is it in Bangalore? In monsoon, how is it in Bangalore? I'm sure if someone has come from Bombay, he will talk really well. In monsoon, this is how it is in Bombay, but here, this is how it is. We never have floods, blah blah blah. Summer and winter, we really don't have summer and winter because I've never seen anybody wear a jacket. There are many things you can talk about. So, if you get three ideas, spend 45 seconds on each and you have easily covered for 2 minutes. Any other three things that people can think of?
Past, present, future.
Past, present and future, yes. You can also positive, negative and my opinion. Advantages, disadvantages and my opinion of it. And a neutral stand also. You can take a neutral stand also. There are many such things that come about where you can split the topic into three segments and talk about it, and you will be doing fine. Should we try out one topic? Just anybody, just give a topic.
Grass on the other side is green.
Grass is, on the other side is always green. So if somebody is from a village and he has moved to the city, he will be able to explain it really well. When I was in the village, I thought that Bangalore is the ultimate place. They have cool cars, whatnot. And the moment I came there, I realized that, so that is the one way of saying that the grass is always green. But you can see the next story. When I went there, I didn't even have money to get a house on rent. They asked so much advance. So I ended up sleeping on the platform for a day or two before I found somebody who can get me a house for rent. So you can talk of all the problems and you say that it is really not so green. So one perspective from here, one perspective from here. Of course, you can also talk of some advantages here. Right?
Consumerism is good for the economy.
consumerism is good for, wait, I just wanted to finish. So, these are opportunities where if you start reading up on quotes and humor and stories and things like that, you can spice up these kind of things. Like for example, grass is always greener on the other side because the other side is always fertilized by bullshit. This is a nice quote I read somewhere. So the villager can say, or maybe between here and US you can have some stories. That is fertilized by bullshit, so it looks like so green. When you go there, you know what kind of bullshit you will face. Right? So when you start reading from quotes, you can plug in humor, plug in nice stories to make it interesting. So the next step is consumerism.
Consumer is good for the economy.
Consumerism is good for economy. How many of you believe that it's good for economy? How many of you don't believe? See, I don't have to answer. There are two different views. So you just need to talk about it in positive ways. Now there is a lot of products that are coming out that is helping a lot of the farmers. Nowadays there are so many products. You go to any store, there are so many products. You have a problem of choices. So consumer is really good. People have a lot of choices to pick whatever they want. On the flip side, do I really need so many choices? Earlier, during my days, I used to have only one All India radio channel and one TV channel, Doordarshan, and I was very happy. And the whole of India, we used to talk about some particular programs. Nowadays, if I say I want to watch ZTV, then he says I never watch the channel, I watch this channel. So there is no way for people to talk about anything that is common. People have so much of choices that there is no opportunity for them to come together. It's like when I go to buy a biscuit, it's like I see 50 varieties of biscuits and I get messed. It's like I don't know what the hell I want to buy. Is this really what I wanted? Does consumer really help me? I don't think so. You have a paralysis of choice. If I want to buy a house, it's like there are so many choices, I don't know what to buy. So when you give too many choices, when you want to do some investments, you consult any financial guy, he'll give you some 100 investment options. I don't know what to pick. What is right for me? Did you do the right thing? Earlier it was just LIC, that's it. People were very happy. Good or bad is another thing, but he didn't have to think too much. He could focus on what he was doing. So you can argue both this. Consumerism is good and bad.
So one question, some table topics, especially in contests I've seen, upfront they take a position whether they're for it or against it, upfront. And then they put the line and then say, okay, I'm against it. For example, in this case, I'm against consumerism, and then they spend 2 minutes talking about why they're against it.
Okay. Table topics is not about you taking a stance about it. Table topics is like any other session in Toastmasters where your only job is to entertain or inspire or persuade or inform. It doesn't matter whether what kind of stance you take. Here, if you take only one stance, you're showing yourself to be rigid. You're not able to entertain the audience with different views. Here, if I take two different stances and give a balanced view, I can have a humor here, add some humor here, add some story here, add some story here, which will be more entertaining for the audience. So it doesn't really matter what strategy you pick. The bottom line is, are the audience entertained? If you take the stance and still you're able to entertain, why not? The table topics doesn't say what is it that you're supposed to do. But bottom line is, when you take the stage, your only job is to entertain or inspire or persuade. That's it.
The other thing I've noticed is in popular debatable topics, where you know the audience generally is either for or against. Bulk of the audience are either for or against. You go the opposite. Then typically you add more humor and you take a contrarian view.
That is the next technique, which is you give a twist to something. Right? That is which will give you options to talk a lot more about that particular topic. Right? Yeah.
So whenever I get a table topic, I just go blank. I can't think of any advantages, disadvantages, past, nothing. Nothing comes to my mind. So how do I come out of that?
That's a very good question. One of the important things that we have to understand about table topics is that maybe I'll take the important. Okay. One of the important things that we have to understand about table topics is to find out the underlying sentiment of that particular quote. When it doesn't matter what that quote is, you will know what exactly they are talking about. Like for example, when he says grass is greener on the other side, I thought of villager and city. Somebody else thought of India and US. Somebody else thought of my house and my granny's house. Some other kid thought of my aunt's house, my house. Somebody else thought of my house and my neighbor's house. It doesn't matter. But the underlying sentiment is, I need to compare and contrast what is not good with me and what is good with me, what looks good there. That is the underlying sentiment. So depending on your personal experiences, what you have gone through in life, you can start talking about it. That's the idea. So most important thing is to find out what is the underlying sentiment, or what is the one word, one sentiment that comes to you when you hear a particular topic. Maybe we can take an example. Just tell me about a topic where you think you will go back.
Air travel.
Air travel. What is one sentiment that comes to you when you think of air travel?
Fear.
Fear? Fear of heights?
Some people like traffic, some people don't. Accidents.
But bottom line is, most people would say, I'm afraid. My ears get blocked. If it crashes, it's not that I'll end up with a fracture. I will die. no two ways about it. So you're more concerned about safety. Actually, air travel is much safer than any other means of transport, but still, I'm afraid. So if you understand that fear concept, then we can talk of many things. You can relate it to the first time I drove a car. I went on the highway and there was so much traffic. I hit 5 cars before I came home. You can relate it to the car driving experience, because that's exactly what would have gone through in your mind when you took the airplane for the first time. So it is a question of relating that fear to something that you have experienced already. Maybe the first time you taught your daughter to ride a bicycle. What are the fears that she had? It's exactly the same thing that we have when we go on a flight. So you should be able to relate that underlying sentiment to any story. If you can relate it to the exact topic also, that's also fun.
Yeah, actually, some of these topics you can relate to multiple. For example, in this case, it can be convenience, or it could be air hostess. Or it could be.
But why would you be afraid of air hostess? That's another table topic. So basically, your mind starts expanding into multiple ideas. So yet another thing to keep in mind is whenever we take stage about the table topics, we always start to think about what is the next sentence I'm going to say, what is the next sentence I'm going to say. That approach will generally fail for you. You should always think about what is the next story that I'm going to say. You should always think in terms of stories and not the next sentence. Yet another topic that you can think about to gain time or to see what is that you can talk about is always, one technique is we always start off with a question. If grass is always greener on the other side, you can start off, suppose I don't believe in the topic, you say, why is it that all people feel that grass is always greener on the other side? If you just ask that question, okay, people will start thinking. Or you can also start thinking. You can get different perspectives to answer that particular question by just starting off with that question. Okay. So like this, there are so many different topics, techniques that you can adopt to handle any particular table topic. Now the next question that comes for most people is, in the interest of time, we'll wrap it up, but the next question that always comes is, I know some people always have some stories when they're able to manage here, but I don't get the stories. I go blank. I cannot think of so many stories. I cannot think the way some people handle. This is a common question. Now, this is something where really the Toastmaster skills comes into picture. You are a Toastmaster because you read. It is because you write. You have to expose yourself to reading a lot of books, writing your speeches, writing blogs, whatever, and you should always make notes. Most Toastmasters, if you notice, not like me, but they keep a notebook. It doesn't matter where they are, any experience that they feel they need to write down, they write it down. That's a very good habit. Whenever you read any story, if you feel it is nice, they just make some points. You read a quote, you make the note of that quote. And you practice. If at all somebody were to ask me this table topic, I can use this story. Okay, so this is an important technique which is going to really help you use those techniques in the first place. So, most important thing for you is to be prepared. So, I don't believe that table topics is really impromptu in that sense. It is really not that you are completely unaware and you come here and speak. If you are a real good Toastmaster who wants to handle topics, you will be reading a lot, you will be writing a lot, you will be making notes a lot. You will think of these techniques, and when you come here, you are not worried about how I am going to speak, what the others will think, but you will be worried about how can I entertain the audience with the stories that I have. When you change the focus from being afraid to changing the complete paradigm and saying I have to entertain the audience, you will do a much better job. Of course, you will fail sometimes, it's okay, but that's the only way to learn. Okay, so hopefully from now onwards we'll have amazing table topic session, and I look forward to the next session, which is the table topic session.